Elizabeth was a bit more liberal thinking, and she was more open-minded, and she was raised up in Bavaria in the south of Germany, and she was able to do what she wanted to do, to go hunting, to go making sports. Then she had to marry friends wearing this the busts, the corsets. And you have to imagine she had a waist of between 47 to had a very, very short brief too.
I know.
For those ladies, they used to lost their consciousness many times, and all the time then they were helped to be with some salts and all those things. And when she was injured by him, they were first thinking that she was run over. Then she felt sick, and they were thinking that she was feeling sick because of this corset. Then the corset was opened, and then the wound was opened too, and then they discovered that she was really bounded by him, and then she died at the age of 61, H&E, and over 100 pounds. And she was eating, for example, just the yolk of an egg with a bit of salt and spices, can go, or she let tenderize raw veal, and then she let cook the blood, and she let add salt and spices in it too. So she was always criticizing the court of Habsburg, but she was of course taking the money of the purse. And we have in this one the most important and most costly collection of armories, knights' armories, I mean, from the Renaissance era, is in that building, more than 200. You can have a look at the Ferraris from the Renaissance era in this building if you wanted to see them. To the right then you see there complex, another time in classicism architecture. This is the Gate of Heroes. This square is called the Square of Heroes, Heldenplatz, because we do have 3 monuments dedicated to 180,000. Try to count them. I will never do this, of course. I just trust them. And we have in this one the Venus of Willendorf. It's the oldest representation of a woman made by the humankind. It's a statue big like this, which was found in the city of Willendorf in Austria. Of paintings from the Gothic era up to the Classicism era. We have their masters of the Italian Renaissance, like Raphael, like Titian, like Giorgione, like Bellini, just a few names. Then we do have Caravaggio, Italian Baroque era. The biggest collection of paintings made by Bruegel the Elder is in that museum. 2 rooms filled up with Rubens. It's then Baroque from north of Europe is in that museum. We have their Vermeer, Van Dyck, Van Eyck. If you're interested in those things and you will be back in Vienna, I can recommend to pay a visit into this museum. About this building behind me, you see then over there a balcony. Over this balcony, a not very friendly guy was standing, Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler was standing over this balcony in 1938 after the Anschluss, the annexion of Austria to Germany in 1938, and he was standing over there, and about 100,000 persons were here. Some of them forced to be here, others who had to be here to be not persecuted, and others who wanted to be here. About this part, I've told you a third of Vienna was destroyed during World War II, but under too much. And when I'm talking about this topic, it's not about guilty, it's just about history, because we don't have to forget what happened in those times. And it's interesting to you maybe to know why so much buildings from so old buildings survived World War II in Vienna. You see a monument, and I guess the monument, this is Prince Eugene of Savoy. It's a very important commander of military who was the one man. This is the Archduke Charles, the first man who was able to defeat Napoleon personally in history. Until 1809, Napoleon won every battle which he commanded personally. Then he was, for the second time in Vienna, he besieged the city of Vienna in 1809, and then we had the Battle of Aspern, commanded for the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire by his brother, Franz, the Archduke Charles, and he won against Napoleon. Just the battle, but not the siege. And then the Viennese, as I've told you, they loved to argue, said, it's enough to win just one battle to get a monument like this. Yes, it is. No one was able to defeat Napoleon before him in history personally, so he got this monument here. And this is just one of the 4 worldwide big like this who are standing just over 2 legs. As you see, the horse is standing over just 2 legs. Let's conduct this first. Yeah, okay. at me. Is there a need to use a restroom? No need? Then I go. So I start with this part. You have to imagine this part here with the red gate, with the different kind of artworks on the right hand and on the left hand side, the drawbridge and the moats, the real castle. And this part is still nowadays called the Swiss wing, because the first Habsburg was elected as king of the Germans was from a part which nowadays belongs to Switzerland. And in this one we have the Treasury Museum with a very important collection. There we do have the Habsburg's crown from the 17th century and the crown of the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, not the one used by Charlemagne, but one a bit later. It's in that museum, and objects connected to Charlemagne, for example, a kind of it's called Evangeliarium, a book which they used during the coronation of Charlemagne in Rome in year 800, is in that museum. And the fourth biggest emerald worldwide, it's a cube big like this of emerald. Yeah. If you're interested in crowns or emeralds or history, I can recommend to pay a visit into this museum. It's really, really interesting. This is 16th century Renaissance architecture. The building with the three clocks, I mean, the moon clock, the sun clock, and the modern clock too. Early Baroque decoration, what you can see here. End of the 17th century this part was then built, and then we go from the early Baroque to the late Baroque, this part over there. You see completely different, much more decoration here we have. And on top you see there a crown of the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. The original one is, as I've told you, in this museum. Under it a double-headed eagle. Like a Roman emperor, he is Francis II, the one who had to fight against Napoleon. Beginning of the 19th century. He looks like a Roman emperor because he was emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, founded by Charlemagne on the basement of the old original Roman Empire. For this, the Habsburg used to show themselves all the time like emperors of the Roman era, because they wanted always to make a connection for them to the others. You can read under him Amorem meum populis meis. It's Latin, which means love to my citizens. Ah! Not really.
Not really.
He was not so lovely to them.
Okay.
He introduced the censoring, the secret police, and a lot of undermarks, very nice things to take his subjects under control. When you search for him, Francis II, he's always looking. Because if he had finished this mid part of the complex, he was not so powerful. He ruled for 68 years and he reached the age of 86, but he was not so powerful. He was not good about politics, he was not good about wars, family affairs not really too. He had not so much luck. His son committed suicide, his brother was executed in Mexico, his wife was murdered in Sarajevo. At the beginning of the 18th century, the Spanish School was built in Baroque decoration. And then in the 19th century, those horses were inbreeded, like the Habsburgs, to turn to this white coloration. So they are still nowadays born in dark colors, like dark gray or dark brown, and then they turn at the age of about 10 to this white coloration, because in the 19th century, this white color was pretty popular. To the right-hand side, you see there a building with, where you can read at the facade era. This is no more Baroque, this is New Baroque. Of course, you can read at the facade Franciscus Joseph the first who let complete this part in the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. And behind those walls there, we have the Spanish Riding School of Horsemanship. Do you have the Schönbrunn Palace in the program? No. Yes, do you have it? This afternoon. In the Schönbrunn Palace, for those who has the program, you will see then paintings connected to a wedding in the time of Maria Theresia, 18th century, and you will see the Habsburgs and two other noble families. We use still nowadays to say in Germany and in Austria, when we are run out of money, Ich habe keine Kohle. I have no more charcoal. For us, money is charcoal. Okay. Then users of very expensive goods. Just a second. Very expensive goods. Puts their shop into this street, of course. And you'll see then a few very interesting names like Karl Lagerfeld, like Prada, like Versace, like Chanel, Cartier, and so on and so on. If you want to buy something here, you have to have a lot of charcoal. Better the gilded Latin Visa, Master, American Express diners to be able to buy something here. Okay, you know where you have a chance to lose all your money. It's here the most expensive street we have in Vienna. It's pedestrian we usually, but from after 10:30, the merchants are allowed to bring their goods into their shop. Pay attention. And then you'll see in a few seconds at the facade of the building a black shield with a gilded bird on this shield. You see the article to means a moat. Instead of this square, we had a moat. And in Vienna, King Leonhard was the time of the minstrels, those traveling singers and poetry makers, and one of those tells the legend was a close friend to Richard Leonhard, and they composed together a poetry. This Donald was close to a castle where Richard was, and then he started to tell this poetry and heard that someone
Ja.